Well, we're back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. So,
Hi, what's your name again?
Mary Elizabeth
All right,
Kaye Lazar.
and I'm Kaye Lazar again.
Yes.
Let's see. So you're going. I was talking about earlier about plays I want to go to, or I don't. I don't want to go to any play. I go to the play and then tell everyone I saw it.
Yeah.
But we're going to a play. Tell me about your friends in the play. Yeah,
Yeah, my best friend Lindsay's in a play called Godspell.
Godspell, written
And,
by Stephen Schwartz,
yes.
who wrote Wicked.
And I bought tickets for me and Kevin to
And let me
go.
tell you something. What's interesting about this show is that I knew there was something familiar about it, and it's directed by a friend of mine I went to high school with called Terry Moore, and then I realized, oh, Terry Moore was in Godspell when our high school put it on, and she was very good in it. She's good in everything, but she was. We've seen her a few times at the Dogwood Dell
Yeah.
shows, and so she's not. I don't think she's in the show, but she directed the show, so it's going to be fun seeing Godspell. You know the big hit song from Godspell?
Day by day, day by day. Oh, dear Lord, three things I pray.
Yeah.
See more clearly, love thee more dearly, day
Uh,
by day by day.
there was that song was actually kind of controversial once because I think we may have to cut the show short.
Yeah,
Or talk louder over the wind.
yeah.
There was the Today Show had a theme song, dun 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 dun, dun and then I think Stephen Schwartz sued and said that's a rip off of my song Day by Day. They ripped off. Remember that song? George Harrison wrote a song, and it was called "My Sweet Lord."
Oh, yeah, I love that song.
But then the people who wrote the song "He's So Fine," the Chiffons, whoever wrote it for the Chiffons back 20 years earlier,
Yeah.
said that's the same song. He's so fine, boolang doolang, my sweet lord. It's the same song.
Yeah.
And that should be good. Okay, and also you're going to a wedding.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um, yeah.
All right, I love weddings.
I love weddings too.
Yeah,
So.
I love catching the garter. I'm too old to catch a garter. Anyway, do you ever notice that like when you go to a wedding, when they throw the bouquet, all the women dive for it and they're almost like friggin' football Super Bowl catches, Steve Tyree catches. And then when the groom throws the garter, it's like kryptonite. It's like 10 Supermen don't want to touch it because it's made of kryptonite. Anyway, so actually I hate to say this, I've been kind of preoccupied lately with politics. You know, I was talking about, helping the guy get elected, but I mean, there's now a war with Iran, Israel, and Iran, and I tell you what's weird about that. I mean, it's gung ho Israel, Iran are stark raving mad, but the crazy thing is that everyone was mad at Israel for the terrible treatment of the Gazans and the Palestinians and those wonderful Hamas freedom fighters were murderous bastards. Let's face it. And everyone's on because they're Jewish. Everyone hates the Jews. Everyone loves the downtrodden people, killing Jews. So okay, so that's another story. Now, so then once Israel kind of took out the leadership of Hamas and Hezbollah in Lebanon, two awful terrorist organizations, and they're all run by Iran. They said okay, and then once Iran did not agree with the UN checking out their their nuclear capabilities, Israel said now's the time to strike. If they're not, we know they're building something now, so they're now just bombing the hell out of Iran, and Iran is sending missiles to Israel, but Israel seems to be doing a pretty good job shooting them out. Some have gotten through. You can't get all of them. There's like 90 million, 92 million Iran people against 2 or 3 million Jews in Israel, and so far it's been like David and Goliath. You know, the and they should just call it Operation Slingshot. So what happened was and you know nobody now everyone thinks Israel are heroes for taking out the because nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear bomb, but Hezbollah and Hamas are all puppets of Iran. They're all the same side. They're all in the same. They're all the same group. And you kill one group of people, you're a villain. The other, and you kill the other group of people, you're a hero. But they're both the same villain. So I just been watching all this, just happy. I mean, this has been going on since 1979 when we had problems with Iran when the Ayatollah took over. That it went over the Shah of Iran. He's now then he was exiled to America and to Egypt, which were and then he died while there. He died pretty soon after, like a year later or so. He was dying of cancer. They could have just waited. But anyway, while this is all going on, Trump had this wonderful military parade, just like they have in like in Russia and with China, where they have all the tanks going and all the guys with the rifles walking in step with each other and marching and everything. Well, evidently he was very upset with how things turned out. Trump. Well, in fact, at one point you actually see him kind of sulking. This is his birthday. He thought he was going to have a good time on his birthday watching this ego trip. Which I'll tell you something. They say it cost $40 million to put this on, and they've cut so many people's jobs and agencies and benefits for people in America. And they say we want to save money, we want to be austere and everything, and then they just blow it on this march, this parade. And this parade, I'll tell you what he was upset about was that the soldiers were waving and smiling at the people when they're driving by. He says that's not the way military people should be. They should have, be very serious and everything. What he saw dictators like Hitler and Stalin and people like that doing, the Chinese leaders, Putin. I'm sure Putin probably said, "This is what you should have." He probably told them, "This is what you should have in America." It gets the people excited. Well, it doesn't get Americans excited. It only got them excited by getting. Uh, Well, 50,000 people showed up at this march. I think that might be, even though they make a big deal that only 50,000 people showed up, the same amount that goes to a baseball game, like a World Series game. But 50,000, a lot of people watch it on TV. I'm sure right across the country they watched it on TV and they probably were happy with it. Uh, but in their own hometown, there were protests everywhere called the No Kings March. A lot of my friends were in No Kings March. I wasn't in it for a reason, which I'll tell you in a moment. But 15 million compared to 50,000 people. See, goes shows you that that people were upset. No kings, meaning we're not. King Trump is not a king. He's a president, and he should act like a president.
Yeah.
I think they asked a military man, longtime general who became President Eisenhower, did he ever want a parade like that? He goes, hell no. He goes, America, that's for other countries, not America. But those were quaint times in the 1950s. So anyway, so well, okay, now I have to explain myself. I did not. A lot of my friends invited me to these marches and everything, and I see them. Sadly, I see a lot of anti-Jewish sentiment. I see a lot of anti-Semitism in those things. A lot of from the river to the sea, which means kill all the Jews. The global intifada, which is actually the guy running for mayor of New York has used that term. There was a guy that was kicked out of America. I think he's coming back though. He was a Columbia graduate student that was promoting Hamas and Palestinians, and he was saying and he has freedom of speech, which he does. but he was also hate. It was pretty much his cause lasted about less than a week, and got picked up by another guy named Garcia, who was deported to I think El Salvador,
Yeah.
because that guy was a more sympathetic guy. I mean, it's almost. I mean, if you're gonna take the side of hatred and violence against people, you might as well. I mean, certainly the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazi Party and everything. Yeah, they have freedom of speech, but is this speech we sympathize with? The court of public opinion think otherwise. So anyway, I don't go to these protests because I don't believe they do a whole lot. They might at the very least they might bring some sort of attention to a cause, but also I don't think it really matters so much. I tell you what does matter, and this is what I was doing that same day. I was knocking on doors trying to get someone locally elected to the House of Delegates, and that person, if they would win, or whoever, whatever you do to do something like that, that could make a change. Even people like Bernie Sanders, Harvey Milk, Pete Buttigieg, they said local politics is where it's at, and if you don't like the way things are, uh, try to run for a local office. Try to get someone elected local office. The mayor, the city council, the House of Delegates. Even local congressmen. Uh, I There's a movie. It's a really good movie with Diane Keaton called The Little Drummer Girl,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's not the Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's by John le Carre, the spy novelist, and she plays this rabble rouser in London, American college student in London. She's like the oldest college student ever. She must be
Oh,
45 years old, huh?
I hate to
Yeah,
change the subject,
yeah.
but I forgot that we have a cookout on July 6th.
Okay, we'll go to that. Uh,
That's at
give
three
me,
o'clock.
I'll eat some hamburgers.
Yeah.
I'll eat some weenies. I got in trouble once for saying, uh, I'm gonna keep
It's at three
my
o'clock.
weenies hot and my buns cold or something. I said something crazy.
Yeah. It's at three
We'll
o'clock.
go. Yeah, all you people out there, make sure to come and join us. Bring your invite. Anyway, there's this movie called The Little Drummer Girl, and the little drummer girl, uh, uh, I think she got arrested, and she got the notice of the head of the local Mossad in England, played by Klaus Kinski. Remember Klaus Kinski, the actor, and he wanted her to train with the Mossad to infiltrate. If you say, are you really serious about getting the guy who's building all these bombs, and you really want peace, or do you just want to grandstand? And he said to her, which I'll never forget. He says, "Do you really think that what you're doing, you think you're going to solve world peace by stopping traffic in Piccadilly Circus?" And he's right. When you see a protest and you just see, you're in a traffic jam and you want to get through, and these people are holding up signs and yelling at you and spitting at you and banging on your car for being going through their line or something. I mean, does that get people on your side? No. I said you. I said, do you really think a protest in Times Square is going to solve world peace? I mean, it brings attention, makes you feel good, and get people get to make speeches and everything. But for the most part, the best way to go is by, like I said, it's by actually real activism is actually try to get people elected. I see signs all the time, and it says, it goes, you can stop human trafficking. What can I do? I said, well, you could vote for the people that are against human trafficking. I don't know anyone who's for human trafficking, but you could vote for the people. I said, okay. They always like to think Biden and people like that are in favor of human trafficking. I don't know. It's nonsense. But when you were a kid, did you ever see these signs with Smokey the Bear? It
Oh yeah.
says, only you can prevent forest fires.
Yeah.
What? What can a 10-year-old boy do to prevent
I
forest
know. I
fires?
know.
I'm not even allowed to play with matches. at that age.
Yeah.
I'll get grounded by starting a fire in the backyard near the garbage cans. So yeah, there's nothing I can do, but I guess it just raises awareness and everything. So that's what's been preoccupied with my mind the last couple of weeks or so. This stuff never ends.
Right.
Ukraine
Yeah.
and Russia and everything. But anyway, I've been listening to a lot of good music lately. Alan Jackson.
Alan Jackson. Yay.
You like Alan? What can you tell me about Alan Jackson?
I remember um Chattahoochee.
Chattahoochee. This is like his greatest hits. That's what he looks like on the front. Um, Chattahoochee was, I guess, his first big hit or so.
Yeah.
But he's so good. One of the songs on here is really good. It's called about the Mercury. Crazy about my Mercury. Which is awful because I think they used that same song, "Crazy About a Ford Truck," which I didn't think blended right with that song. They used it for Ford to advertise for Ford trucks. But anyway, Alan Jackson. There's a really good song on here. Song I listen to is "Gone Country." All these songs are good hits, but there's a really good song on here. "Don't Knock the Jukebox." This is the song. She's got the rhythm and I got the blues. And that's a really good song.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all good songs. It's just that I didn't realize until I heard it on my car stereo what a good song is. I'd listen to all my music on car stereo, so I don't have the time to just play them and listen to them. So like when I was a kid. So now I have to drive somewhere, and that's the only time I ever get to listen to it. My radio, I never listen to the radio, and I know all the commercials. So anyway, Alan Jackson is sort of beloved in Virginia because there was when was it, like 20 years ago? There was an earthquake in Mineral.
Yeah.
And it went up and down the East Coast. They even talked about it on the David Letterman show. Yeah, earthquake.
I saw
Alan Jackson.
Oh, I saw a concert.
Tell us about the concert with Alan Jackson.
It was 1998.
1998.
Yeah, and
Yeah. That was before the earthquake. I think the earthquake happened about 10 years later. And he said, I will do a free concert any place that's been devastated by the earthquake. And the winner was Mineral, Virginia, where, let's face it, there's a nuclear power plant there. An earthquake, yeah.
Really, oh,
You like Alan Jackson? He's the best.
yeah.
I don't see too much of him anymore, but I'm sure he's still popular and everything. And but you remember seeing him and enjoying his show?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Alan Jackson, "Crazy About a Mercury."
Yeah.
Crazy About a Mercury. We have another country singer you might know of. This is the greatest hits. What's his name?
Eddie Rabbitt.
Eddie Rabbitt. Sadly, he's no longer with us. He died at a very young age. I don't think he was about 45 years old when he died.
Love the rain in my...
Love the rainy nights. I love the rainy nights. There's a lot of good songs on here. Driving My Life Away.
And you and I.
Yeah. Gone Too Far. What's the other?
Just...
Do You Right Tonight. It's a really good song. There's the first time I ever heard of Eddie Rabbitt was not of his typical hits. He had a hit song that was the theme to a movie with Clint Eastwood, Every Which Way But Loose. Every Which Way But Loose, which is not on here because I don't think he considers that like a hit. His hit is someone else wrote it, but he sang it and he did a good job of it. That's the first time I've heard of Eddie Rabbitt. Eddie Rabbitt was from New York City, an Irish Catholic. He was once on Hee Haw, and he once said, you know how they say, I always, here's my hometown, Delight, Arkansas. Salute. Remember that on Hee Haw?
Oh, yeah.
Or this is my hometown of Short Pump, Virginia. Salute. He said, I want Hee Haw to salute. I want Hee Haw to salute my hometown of New York City, population 16 million. Eddie Rabbitt. Okay, This is what I've been waiting to. I have two little stories about Eddie Rabbitt. Eddie Rabbitt. I have a friend in college. He's still a friend of mine. His name is Bob Girardi, and we had a party for him in college. I forget what the party. It was like his birthday. We all gave him gag gifts. You know what you give guys in fraternities, guys,
Oh yeah.
all the Vaseline and
I remember talking about
sexual
that.
aids and stuff, huh?
I remember talked about that last time.
Well, I'm going to talk about it again. What happened was, he said, because I'm already into the story. He said, so somebody gave him like a LP. So Eddie Rabbitt's greatest hits, and everyone laughed. I said, "What's so funny about that?" He goes, "You don't know who his brother-in-law is? His brother-in-law is Eddie Rabbitt." And Eddie Rabbitt also, did I tell you the Elvis story?
I don't think so.
Okay, Eddie Rabbitt, no matter what songs he had a hit with, his biggest hit of all time was a song that was sung by Elvis called Kentucky Rain.
Oh yeah, Kentucky Rain. I love
So
that
you
song.
like Kentucky Rain by Elvis. So he wrote this song. And once Elvis recorded that song, he got so excited and he said, I want to meet Elvis. So he wound up going, this is near the end of his career, like in the late 1970s, near the end of Elvis's career. And he talks to all these people down the line. Oh, we'll get you to meet Elvis. We'll get you to meet Elvis. We'll get you to meet Elvis. And then finally he got to the dressing room door of Elvis. I think Colonel Parker opened the door. You want to meet Elvis? And he goes, yeah. And so he opened the door, and Colonel Parker says to Eddie Rabbitt, he says to Elvis, he says, "This is Eddie Rabbitt. This is the man who wrote Kentucky Rain." And Elvis, he said, took out his hand and said, "Oh, you wrote Kentucky Rain. You're Eddie Rabbitt. Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Hey, you make it a good night." And he went back in.
That was quick.
That was that's all he did. That's how he met
That
Elvis.
was quick.
All he did, yeah. But he met Elvis more than some people can attest to. But he said that when the door was open a crack, he looked in and he saw almost every big star in Hollywood was there. I think Cary Grant was there, and Jimmy Stewart was there, and Johnny Carson was there. They're all Don Rickles. Everyone in Las Vegas was there. But he never got through the door. But he got Elvis to come to the door to shake his hand, and that was about it. So that's Eddie Rabbitt. So there you go.
Can't get over that.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
That was quick.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people I've met, I barely met, but I met them. I met just recently. I met what's his name, Paul Reiser from Mad About
Oh
You,
yeah.
and all he did was do the yeah. We posed for a photo. He did the ears,
Oh yeah.
and let me tell you something. When your friend does that like this, you think, what a jerk, what a jerk, what a jerk. But then when a celebrity does it, that's cool.
Yeah.
He thought enough. He thought enough to sabotage the photo. So anyway, we have one
Chris
more.
Isaac.
We have more. Chris Isaac.
He was good too.
Chris Isaac's still around. He of all the people we've mentioned, that he
And
kind of reminds me the most
I
of that.
wanna love, I wanna fall in love. Remember that music video?
Yes,
He was on the beach with this girl.
yes.
Yeah, I like that one.
He made a lot of videos, a lot of sexy videos. He did music that was in movies like Twin Peaks,
Oh yeah.
and he's an actor in a few movies too. I saw him in Portsmouth. The only time I ever see when speaking of Elvis, the warm up for when I went to see Chris Isaac was Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh yeah.
But you'd think Lisa Marie Presley would sing Elvis songs. She sang her own songs. I can't remember any of them. I guess the talent skipped a generation. I think his granddaughter is Riley Keough or something is her name.
Yeah.
She's doing quite well as an actress. And Lisa Marie seemed like a very nice woman,
Yeah.
but I saw her perform with her band, But she was the warm up. I was waiting for Chris Isaac, and Chris Isaac was so good. And Chris Isaac, uh, every one of his albums is good. And a lot of times when he's on these records where CDs where everybody has a song like
Yeah.
a tribute to Elvis or a tribute to
Yeah.
Roy Orbison or something. His song is usually the best one. He sings sort of in the same style that they would sing in. Chris Isaac,
I just only know that one song.
yeah,
And I wanna fall in love with you.
yeah. What can I tell you? He's an actor in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He is in, I think, Twin Peaks. And I mean, he's not going to win. He's not Anthony Hopkins, but but he was in that Anthony Hopkins film, Silence of the Lambs, and he's one of the guys who tries to get Anthony Hopkins at the end when he's in that cage, at that when he's all locked up in that cage, and Anthony Hopkins breaks out, Hannibal Lecter. You know, Hannibal Lecter, that great guy, that great American Donald Trump was talking about, as if he was a real person. Anyway, Chris Isaak, it's a really good movie he's in by Bernardo Bertolucci, called Little Buddha. It's a story of Buddhism and they find in the story, it's a fictional story, but they find the new Dalai Lama, because you always have to find a new Dalai Lama, and they found the new Dalai Lama, and it's Chris Isaak's son in America. So he becomes he gets groomed to be the next Dalai Lama, and then a lot of it is flashbacks to like 1,500 years ago when Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, and he's played by Keanu Reeves, and they do the whole story about the miracles that the Buddha went through to start his own religion. And one of the stories is pretty wild. And the Chris Isaak character says to the Tibetan monk, says, "And you believe this story?" And the monk says, "It's a nice story we tell the children." Meaning it's not all that important you believe everything in the story, which made me think about every religion, every tall tale you hear in religion, every miracle that you hear about. You know, it's nice. What's more important is that you follow the religion, if you follow the religion and the tenets of it and the laws of it and everything, and not believe every little miracle, every little fantastical story. So now I know people are going to dispute me on that, but I always feel there's a logical explanation for everything. And then when all of that stops, then you have to. For example, I'll tell you, to become a saint, when the Pope makes a saint, you have to have like 3 miracles, and miracles in today's scientific age are getting harder and harder to, to disprove as realism and to prove as a miracle. And in the olden days, there were plenty of saints. There was plenty of miracles. Anyway, so wow, what a beautiful warm day. Thank you for having me here, Mary Elizabeth. I look forward to dining at a barbecue with you, and going to the wedding with you, and go see Godspell. Gosh, I don't know what to do next. Do another show.
And then we have
do a show after those, so we can talk about them.
And then we do
48 hour film project. Of course. Okay, we'll have fun. Yeah. The summer is a fun time for me.
Yeah, me too. Well, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. May God bless you. Take care.
My name is Kaye Lazar. You're watching the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour.